Hello and welcome to this special series from the Northern Frontier. Our team was in the field in the eastern Ladakh sector, trying to bring you the latest updates and developments from the front with China. But as part of that series, I've also had conversation with Indian Army Chief General Manoj Pande during a long interview I had with him on eve of the Army Day, which is on 15th of January. I'm Nitin Gokhale. So let me now turn to him and ask him on where are we as far as the standoff with China is concerned. We are nearly 3.5 years gone past from summer of 2020 to now. And the standoff in Ladakh, of course, continues. So if you can give us an update of where are we on that front.
Nitin, the situation on the line of actual control, I would say, is currently stable.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that we haven't had any major incidents in the last 2.5, 3 years, I think bears that out. However, we need to constantly monitor the situation there, and I keep a close watch on developments. On the other side, I think the heightened deployment of troops continues. But with the onset of winter, whatever troops were there in the training areas across the LAC seem to have gone back to their permanent garrisons.
I see.
As far as our deployment goes, I think we are maintaining a very balanced and robust posture. Also maintaining adequate reserves in all sectors to be able to deal with any contingencies that may arise.
Right.
So our guidance, or my guidance to troops is, or forward troops is, to be firm in their resolve and ensure that there is no attempt to change the current status quo. We are continuing with our talks to find resolution to the balance area, both at the military level as well as at the diplomatic level. You are aware of the two mechanisms that we have. We have the senior SHMCL, senior higher military commander level meeting. There again we've had 20 rounds of meetings so far. And likewise we have the WMCC, the working mechanism for consultation and coordination, which is at the diplomatic level, of which we have had 14 rounds of talks so far after May of 2020. The talks are continuing. We are continuing to engage with the other side, and we are positive that at the end we'll find a resolution to our balance areas that are currently we're looking at finding resolution to.
That's as far as Ladakh is concerned. And of course, because of that events or episodes in the summer of 2020, you had to do the rebalancing of your forces. In that respect, now is the rebalancing permanent, more or less? And like you said, a large number of deployments in Ladakh itself has taken place. But how does that work in terms of logistics, infrastructure? Has that improved over the years now for the last 3 years?
So your first question, has the rebalancing process been put in place?
Right.
Has it been completed? I would say yes.
Okay.
Whatever we had sought doing initially,
Right.
I think all that is there. In terms of what else is happening or are we doing, we are focusing on the capability development of our posture in these areas. And in terms of inducting new equipment, we were able to purchase good quantities of various equipment to enhance our mobility, protections, surveillance, precision, munition, survivability, equipment dealing with that.
Right.
So all that has been inducted, like I mentioned earlier.
Yes.
So that is one part of our capability development. In terms of infrastructure, we have been focusing on infrastructure development, now be it the roads or the communication be it our forward electric supply, etc. Of which I think the road infrastructure, I would say, is very important. And towards this, 70% of the funds which the border roads is getting, they are focused or they are diverted to the northern borders. Border roads has a 5-year long-term roll-on plan. They call it the LTROWP. Now in this there are some 365 roads which amount to about 18,000 crores which they have identified, and we jointly have identified actually for development from 2023 till 2028.
Okay.
So that is progressing well. You are aware of the tunnels.
Right.
The Sela tunnel, the Nechifu tunnel are complete. The tunnels between Srinagar and Kargil, the Zedmore and Zujila tunnel are again progressing well. And the road connectivity through Shinkunla tunnel in the Padam sector.
Right.
Along the Zanskar valley.
Yes.
That again I am told the work will soon start. And then there are issues of alternate connectivity to the DSDBO.
Yes.
That is something which we are again pursuing. And so is the alternate connectivity in Kameng sector of Western Arunachal Pradesh. So alternate road connectivity and tunnels are, I would say, progressing well.
Okay.
In terms of habitat, I think in the last 3 years, we have been able to construct some 390 to be precise, company-sized modules for our troops to be able to stay there.
Comfortably stay there.
And that is how we have been able to accommodate about 40,000 troops who are staying there comfortably. Not only the troops, also the equipment. Some of our larger platforms, which need controlled environment for their performance, etc. So all that has been looked at. In this connection, I must also mention we are engaging with other government ministries, departments, with the local state administration. And again, to give an example, along with the Power Ministry, we have identified 105 of our forward locations where the Power Ministry has assured that the electric supply, they will make sure that it reaches there so that our reliance on fossil fuels is reduced. There we have about 1,300 kilowatts of solar energy and non-conventional energy projects already which are in place. In terms of communication, we have identified 365 of our forward army posts where 4G connectivity will soon reach, I'm told by September of this year.
Okay.
Likewise, helipad, upgradation of ALG, underground storage facility. So these are the areas that we are looking at.
Because like you mentioned, troops are one, but supporting infrastructure, logistics is quite another, and I think that's important, and you've actually given a lot of details there. As far as the Kameng sector or Arunachal Pradesh is concerned, there were these proposals for a frontier highway. There is also the East-West highway. And you've been Eastern Army Commander. We in fact met there nearly 2.5 years ago or 2 years ago. What is the progress there?
Right. So you are aware, you already have a connectivity across, which is in the foothill.
Right.
We refer to as the Trans-Arunachal Highway.
Correct.
We are looking at another highway which connects all the valleys of Arunachal Pradesh.
Right.
Some part of it is already completed. There were some valleys which are still not completed.
Right.
So I think among those 4 or 5 different stretches, it has now been decided along with the MORTH as to which are those more challenging stretches which the BRO must take up.
Right.
Some others will be taken up through the NHIDCL and through a EPC model.
Correct.
I am told very recently the final allotment of funds for the stretches which the BRO is to undertake has happened. So I am hopeful that these stretches or these valleys which still remain not connected in the next 2 to 3 years, I think we will have that happen. But that is a important priority area
Right.
to establish an inter-valley connectivity that will then enable smooth movement of forces from one side or one sector to the other.
Inter-service cooperation.
Yes.
Especially, I remember 2 years ago we had spoken about how the Air Force stepped up its efforts along with the Army to induct troops, equipment everywhere. So that could be one step towards theaterization, jointness, integration.
Yes.
How do you see the effort towards that end when you talk about inducting troops in the forward areas which are difficult along the northern frontier?
I think the role of the Air Force is going to be extremely critical, especially in areas where our forward road or surface connectivity is still not up to the desired level. And that is where the transport aircrafts and their abilities to induct troops in a very short period of time comes into play, for which you need forward helipads. So we are working very closely with the Air Force, especially in the areas of Arunachal Pradesh. We routinely practice, rehearse induction of forces, induction of equipment, and in areas where there are advanced landing ground, even heavier platforms to their transport fleet aircraft. So this is one area, especially in the northeast, I feel, which is critical, and we are focusing on it.
Right. So coming back to Ladakh for a moment, the three routes that are now connecting Ladakh, one from Srinagar to Leh, the other from Manali to Leh, but only for 6 months, and then of course the third alternative that you spoke about, Sinkunla, Padam, Zanskar Valley. How has that given you kind of a enhanced capability for movement of troops and rapid deployment? Has there been a boost to that effort, really?
Yes. So, all the three sectors or road axes that you talked about, once they come up, it will give you an all-weather, all-season connectivity to the Ladakh or the eastern Ladakh sector.
Right.
Which currently, as you are aware, the road surface communication is open only during certain months, almost 6 to 7 months in a year, because of heavy accumulation of snow in all the passes, be it Zojila Pass or along the Manali axis on the three passes that exist. So that currently is a challenge. With these tunnels coming up and with this road connectivity having established, I think that will be a major achievement. It will reduce our logistics effort to sustain our troops, as well as for the other civil population in that area to a large extent.
So you spoke about, exactly. In fact, civil population is a key in a sense, and in that context, the program for vibrant villages.
Yes.
How is that dovetailing into Indian Army's plans to have a kind of a posture in the northern frontier?
Right. So out of the 600 odd vibrant villages which have been identified for development by the government, in the initial phase, about 100 of them, we had given our inputs from purely a military or a security point of view. And they have been incorporated in identifying and selecting these villages. And by virtue of our presence there, or our footprint, as they say, in these forward areas, we will do our bit, or more than our bit, in making sure that this project takes off and the implementation happens in terms of whatever assistance, cooperation the executing agencies require. And we are already working closely with the state governments of these states to identify as to how Army can help, how Army can assist or collaborate in this effort.
So you had spoken about increased outreach or enhanced outreach to other ministries, environment, forest, even I think the information technology or the communications ministry. What are those details that you can give us?
So I've always been saying this, that if we have to improve our outcomes, improve our results, we need to reach out you need to engage with other government departments and ministries, which is extremely critical. And that has been one of my focus areas for last year and a half now. So in that connection, we are engaging with the Power Ministry I mentioned for power.
Yes. Power supplies to the
forward areas.
Yeah.
To the Ministry of Railways for our movement of troops and goods, both during peacetime as well as during period of hostility.
Right.
We are also engaging with Telecom Ministry. We are engaging with MITI in a major way. And here I would just highlight 5-6 areas where we are collaborating with them. One is, of course, software development. Second is exchange of best practices in hardware and data security. We are also taking their help for audit of our data centers. Also their assistance in identified embedded malware in whatever procurements that we do. And lastly, we are also collaborating them in establishing other data centers and other technology IT parks they're doing. So this again has yielded very positive results, and we realize that if we join or we collaborate with the ongoing government schemes, be it Digital India and the like, it is much, I would say it is much better, and that is how you will again optimize your resources.
But let me now turn to J&K. It's been 4 years of abrogation of Article 370.
Yes.
It, of course, was an ongoing improvement that we are seeing. But let me start with the recent incident in Poonch Rajouri, or incidents in Poonch Rajouri, where there have been ambushes and encounters, and there was this controversial encounter that or ambush that took place on 21st of December, if I am not mistaken. Why is it that that area has now suddenly become hot, and what are the steps that you're taking to avoid these kind of incidents?
Yes. So your observation in terms of Rajouri Poonch area having become active for the last couple of years is correct. And largely it is to do with the designs of our adversaries to abet terrorism, to support proxy tanzeems across the LC in our area. So that is the result. As a manifestation, you have a situation that currently is prevailing. But I must mention, in the last 3 years, in this area, we have been able to neutralize about 45 foreign terrorists who have been operating there. Now, till 2003, the situation, or after 2003 till 2019, I think the situation was normal. Peace prevailed, development activities happening. And that is perhaps what prompted, encouraged the adversaries to again reactivate this area. So that is one aspect. Now, what is it that we are doing? Of course, we have reoriented our counter-infiltration and counter-terrorism grid in that area, inducted certain additional forces, revitalized the intelligence setup so that more of human we are able to get. We are trying to use technology in terms of to be able to identify, gather intelligence, to make our forces more, I would say, effective. We are also cooperating, synergizing our operations with other security agencies and intelligence agencies in this area, which again is starting to show positive results. As far as my guidance to soldiers, commanders in that area is to act in a professional manner, make sure that we continue to engage with the local community, because you need to win their hearts and minds, engage with them. They are extremely important to us. Work in synergy with other agencies, and whatever has been our experience in dealing with these situations for the last so many years, our professionalism, focus on that, focus on undertaking operations in a professional manner, so that you get
So there are
outcomes and results.
Let me be blunt about this. That there were allegations about aberrations of human rights violations, and then it can be taken advantage of by inimical agencies. In that respect, what is your guidance, or what have you told the troops now to do it, and what would be the action if whenever some inquiry is completed?
Right. So first, this is your second question about these allegations.
Right.
As you are aware, we are investigating them. We'll do it in a very fair, transparent and a time-bound manner.
Correct.
And that is my assurance. And anybody who's been found guilty or stepping out of the line, having not followed the guidelines, instruction, rules of engagement, we will take strict action against them. And I've been explaining to my boys, including when I recently visited, the importance of engaging with the local community, winning their confidence, and work towards that. We already have the chief's commandments in terms of the guidelines, the do's and don'ts to operate in this area. And I have re-emphasized and reminded our soldiers once again. And I'm sure going forward, our relentless operation in these areas will continue, and we will find or get very positive results.
One final question now in this whole long conversation that we have had, and a very insightful conversation, I must say. What are the two operational challenges that you see on our borders? One is, of course, the line of control with Pakistan. The other is the line of actual control. And can they manifest into a kind of a combined threat to India's security?
So, if I were to look at a larger canvas, the larger issues, one of the challenges that I see is, while our operational commitments continue, and like you said, both on the western borders as well as on the northern borders, so our operational preparedness or the readiness levels have to remain of a very high order. So while one hand we are undergoing this process of transformation, of which I think discussed in great detail, the various elements of it, and also that fact that it is a process. So while this is happening, we'll have to make sure that the readiness levels or the preparedness does not get affected in any manner. And that is something which I think is extremely important as we move forward.
And that's something which I'm sure you're constantly emphasizing on.
Yes.
With the troops, with the officers, with the leadership going forward. Because one thing that comes out now from the recent developments, either in Israel, Gaza, Israel-Hamas conflict or the Russia-Ukraine conflict, is now you cannot predict the nature of the conflict really.
Yes. So we have to be able to correctly identify as to how future's war will be fought.
Right.
That is the beginning, and then prepared for them accordingly.
And all kinds of scenarios.
Yes. Also, in our case where we have active borders, disputed borders, we have to make sure that we are not neither tactically or not strategically surprised. So the vigil will have to continue.
Right.
We have to remain on toes. Our alertness level will have to be of a very high order, whilst our capability development initiative, infrastructure development, progresses continuously.
Yeah, while it's a work in progress, you rightly said, and I think you've given us an excellent overview of the various initiatives, various programs, and the planning that you have done. And I can only say best of luck to the Indian Army and to you, because this year may be crucial in many respects. But I'm confident that the Indian Army will rise to the challenge as it always has. So thank you very much for your time and your insights and your detailed explanation of where the Indian Army is today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nitin. It has been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.